Yeah, thank you one more time for having us. And one more time, man. Marky and Eddie in Buena Park, those are my boys. Just remember I love you, huh?
Buena Park is in the building. Buena Park? What's the deal? Nothing but the homies out there. Nothing but the homies. What's up with the homies?
Who poppin', we poppin'.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show where anything goes. I'm your host, Mark Vargas, and you're tuned into the Center Lock Show. And today we got a very special guest. Somebody, hey, he's all over the world. He's a homegrown boy from Southern California, representing LA County, East LA, Boyle Heights. My man, Ronin Gray.
What's happening? Thanks for having me on your show, Mark.
Hey man, it's been we've been talking about the last about week and a half, and wanting to make this happen, and appreciate you making some time to step on in the Center Lock Show, brother.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So for those that don't know Ronin, some of my viewers might be looking like, oh, who's this guy, and what does he got going on? Ronin, man, why don't you let everybody know exactly what you do, because you do a lot.
Well, I don't know. I don't know where to start. Yeah, I do a lot. I started in the music business many years ago, and I still dabble in music, but it doesn't really pay me. So now I work in the motion picture business, and I'm a member of three different unions. A member of the labor union, and that's building and designing sets in the art department. I work as a teamster. I do transportation for Hollywood Local 399, and that's driving all the trucks that you see moving around equipment. And I also work as an actor. I'm a member of the Screen Actors Guild, and I've been an actor since 2007. And that's really probably what I'm more known for. I don't know what I'm more known for. Just people just know me randomly. But recently, I started doing vlogs with a friend of mine. He has a channel called Hood Vlogs, and I got a lot of recognition off of that. Specifically, the one focused on Boyle Heights, because when he started this channel, there wasn't a lot of Chicanos doing vlogs talking about their neighborhoods, because it's, for many of us, it's really taboo how you talk about it. So I just feel that I know how to talk about it, and at the same time still hold that integrity and respect for the people of the community. It's not a safari, it's not a zoo. This is our community, our people, so a certain type of way to go about it. And I got a lot of recognition from that. I don't do it all the time. Recently, I did one with Peter Santinello, and that did really well. Did about I think almost 4 million views in 2 weeks. So yeah, I think that a lot of people have been paying attention to that most recently. But what I'm known for, I've done a bunch of acting bits, but nothing has ever really hit. So I don't know what I'm really known for. I think it's just a montage of a bunch of different things, and over the years, I just continue. I don't settle on one thing like a success. It's just like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What are we doing? And if I get inspired and there's downtime, I might make music. If so it's just a variation of different things.
No, I mean, definitely. I mean, that's one thing I knew that, from like all those videos on YouTube and everything. I knew that you were, doing that, but then I was also, looking in on you, and I mean, you've done some high profile movies from, what, the Black Panther, right? Was one of the you were dealing with, right?
Yeah, that's one of the last ones I worked on. I worked on that one for about 10 months, and I worked in the art department, and I worked as a laborer, helping the labor foreman, and we built pretty much all the sets. The main sets that I built was the tribal council center, the shop, the casino, the alley when they're in Korea, when they're busting them out of the wall, the deck, I think at the end when they're flying away. I don't really remember the movie. It kind of all, I work on so many movies sometimes, they all kind of blend together. So I really remember the first one. But that was the last big feature that I did. I've done a couple of TV shows since, and I was just at Fox for about 2-3 years, working for the lot, just working in facilities, not really working for a show. But when I left to Brazil, I left that behind, and I'm probably going to start jumping back on movies, or if the universe desires, then maybe I'll get to do more acting. That would really be cool too. It's always fun to do something that you enjoy. But big movies I've done: Insurgent, Divergent, Allegiant, Black Panther, Alvin and the Chipmunks, Live by Night. I always talk, like, when I started doing background, the first movie I worked on was Hancock with Will Smith. I've been a PA. I worked for Judge Judy. I worked for Judge Joe Brown at KTLA. I did a show in South Dakota called Full Throttle Saloon. A lot of those big movies that I named, I was in Atlanta for 3 years. I lived in Atlanta, Georgia for 3 years because there was a big tax incentive for the motion picture industry. So there was a lot of big films being done out there. That's pretty much that. It's kind of hard to talk about it because it's kind of just it all merges together. It just works, you know. So
Nah, I mean that's definitely. I mean, we were talking about what our focus is for this episode, and we want to talk about representation. And I mean, one of the reasons why I think your videos blew up and your stuff that you were doing blew up on YouTube was because a lot of people want to see their story told, and it's not from a negative perspective, not from the news covering it. And it's like, every time you usually see that, and until recently, really, it's a lot of negative stuff, that people want to portray it as. And one thing I loved when you were talking about the community was, you have the art, you have the history, you have the culture, and all that stuff is true. That's something that I think everybody really feels whenever they go through some of those spots. You can see it on the walls. It's almost, you can taste it in the restaurants. You can see it on the walls. You can almost feel it when you're just in the air. You could be driving down the street and you can feel all that positive energy out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that a lot of people, I don't know, I think that a lot of people, they have this idea because of what they see in film and television. I say that there's a couple things that when it comes to the vlogs, I'll say that if we don't document our history and our time in the community, in 100 years from now, they're never going to remember that we've been here. They're going to forget that we existed. All our friends that were gang members, affiliated with gangs, that died for no reason or a reason because of some unnecessary conflict, they're going to be forgotten. And that's really sad because those are all our people too, regardless of the choices that they chose to make. Our people on the streets, in prison, all that too, just a situation of circumstance sometimes. I don't think people ever are born with the intention to. This is a situation of circumstance, and these situations, they create different situations. Different people end up doing different things. But we do have people that are like Villaraigosa. He grew up in Boyle Heights. He was the mayor of LA. So you have had Chicanos that are highly educated, that are lawyers, that that have done all kinds of stuff. So it's pretty cool. But I think that usually in film, the way that it's shown in a negative context where prisoners, gang members, studs, and all that too. So every time that someone asks me to do a vlog, I get hit up pretty often, but I don't do everything. I just do the ones where I kind of see like, okay, this person has a good platform. This person will portray it from. But the main thing for me is to show a positive perspective and to show that we're intelligent people. And I want so that when people, because I know that I've been all over Europe. I've been to Africa. I've been to South America. And I know that when I speak and these videos get out there, that I'm talking for other people that look like me and come from my situation all over the world. So I don't want our perception of the people, of who we are, to be negative in South Africa or Australia or Spain or Brazil. I want them to be like, hey man, these guys are cool, like I get it. They have this mixed kind of culture, this duality of like, it's kind of tribal, but at the same time, they're highly intelligent, they seem like really cool, likable people. That's very important for me to portray, how we look. Of course, it's always been a important part of the culture too, to always look nice, to dress clean. So those things are important to me, not to get on film and not to talk bad about anyone, but we've all seen a video where there's a guy and he's high or drunk and I don't want to represent people like that. I don't think that that's a good representation.
No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, one of the things you just touched on is, we're a highly intelligent, community of people. we look back to our ancestors. I mean, those are some of the smartest people I've ever lived. The stuff that they were able to do, stuff that they were able to construct. I mean, just theological stuff, everything like that, like it's almost like it's where we have to live up to that. We have to continue to push that tradition. We have to continue to push not just like had nothing to really do with our community, but one of the things that I really understood was Kanye West. He was talking about with Black History Month. you know he wanted to change the perspective of Black Future Month. He wants to talk about how can we
Mhm.
continue to push the the whatever you want to call it, and how do we show that there's more stuff out there, without necessarily losing the past, losing the history, but like how are we going to show the next generation, how should we inspire them, how should we lay down what foundation for them to continue to push the narrative. And that's one thing I feel like we need a lot of that in our cultures, because we kind of get lost in the mix sometimes. I mean, sometimes we get lost in the they're farmers, or they're people that really can't support themselves, or all that stuff. Like you said, we see so much stuff, and it's like that's part of it. We do have family members
Yeah.
that do that. We do have family members that have you know I mean, shit, I grew up with all my cousins on my house every weekend, daily, and like that's just part of our culture. But there's I have a cousin who is a principal. I have a cousin who's doing things in the community, and on the flip side, I do have cousins that are on the streets, running on the block. But
Yeah.
it's a mix of our community that we need to show. And it's like I really enjoyed what you did, you know what I mean? Because that was us showing our community. It wasn't somebody else
Yeah.
coming in, you know what I mean, and telling their narrative. And that's one thing I think we really need to continue to do, is have people, us, show, and us do things that continue to push the narrative for our future. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's part of why the last vlog was so successful, because I don't try to be anyone that I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just myself. Some people like things about me, some people don't. But at the end of the day, I pay all my own bills. Don't nobody else pay my bills. So I don't really worry about what people think about me too much. Um, I have family, like my family that I visit in Mexico. They're from Jalisco, and they're lawyers. They work for city council. They have currency exchange. They own tons of property. They don't need to come here. That's interesting too. Like a lot of times the perception in America is that everybody in Mexico is struggling and doing bad, when I'm saying an example that that's not the case. Uh, I've heard people before. I've heard people before say, "Oh man, you're so lucky," like because you're born in America, and I remember, I think one of my mother was talking to one of her cousins. She's like, "Hey man, like my mom was born here in California also," and she's like, "Hey man, I was born here too, and we still struggle. Like, don't get it twisted. Like we still got issues. We're still getting caught up going to prison, or we're still lacking education. The struggle is I don't know. I think it's like it's like a I think it has to do like with the lack of attention to opening our minds in education or whatever. Because same thing too, like when a lot of friends that I had, when they did come across a lot of money, they didn't think about leaving the neighborhood or going anywhere else. They just kind of stood there, that they felt safe there, so they didn't go anywhere else. But yeah, you could be. My point is that you could be born in this country and still struggle. You could live and be born in Mexico and be really successful. That's what I'm saying. So, and they had great education, and that's how they were able to get and rise into these higher institutions. Now they might not be making as much money, but then again, the cost of living and everything is cheaper for them too. So it kind of balances out almost,
Yeah.
So and it's really like what makes you happy is I don't know what it's really about what makes you happy. America's super like a country about work. They promote work all the time.
No, that I mean, It is. I mean, it's a market driven country, and
Yeah,
sometimes people get you can get left behind, and you see it on the streets every time you go to some of these higher populated cities, LA. You can go to Chicago, you can go to New York. People are being felt all across the nation, um, and that's why I think we going back to what we were talking about with pushing the narrative and just continue to setting now you want to say a tradition, but setting a standard, like it's I don't know how you feel on it, but I feel like we don't really have as much you know people in the mainstream media or the mainstream whatever you want to call it that are representing for us. And
like you mean like a hero? Like we don't have heroes or
yeah,
whatever that
I
are
mean, one of the
leading the
things,
thing.
they talk about, when I mean, of course, you were dealing with Black Panther, everybody was talking about for the community. I mean, I always cracked
Yeah.
up. They said our superhero was Rey Mysterio. You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
but that's somebody
machete.
who put on for the culture. That's somebody who took that, who understood who he was representing, who he was showing that a future could, whether it's wrestling or whatever, that a lot of people, how many kids saw him, they had their little Rey Mysterio mask on, and
Yeah,
they saw what they could be, they saw how important he was. And that's, I feel like we need to continue to go. And I love the last few years. I feel like there's been a strong movement in, seeing how many people are going to become college educated, seeing how many people are becoming, successful business owners. And like it's a movement that's really, out there. And but we just got to continue to, like you said, a positive uh a positive role model, somebody that's not gonna, the traditional, I know a lot of people grew up with like Cheech and Chong, or even
yeah, yeah.
what I mean. And that's nothing wrong with them. They did something for a whole community that, like I got
Well,
Bob Marley up there, like.
the 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 thing about it though is sometimes like that's the segue. Like even in order to get people to pay attention to the vlog, you show the lowriders and you show the tacos, but that's not what it's all about. But that sometimes is what you use to open the door to invite this person, to intrigue this person. And now that you got their attention because they like that stuff, now you feed them the information and the knowledge. Like, oh wow, these guys they're on a different level. I was not expecting this. You hear all that time, like, oh, I was only going to watch this for 2 or 3 minutes. I just wanted to see what kind of food in the car. And then they ended up intriguing me together as a group. So I think that some of those things that they're used as like hooks in order to grab the people. And then once we have their attention, now we can show them who we really are. It's like getting our foot in the door. And it's like the elevator pitch, like, hey man, I really want to work for you. I'm a really good worker, but how do you even get into the elevator sometimes
Yeah.
is the question. So we use these certain things that are intriguing, like even talking about the gang culture. Like America loves that stuff. That's why they loved Al Capone and they love Goodfellas and they love all that stuff. They eat that up. So by using that as a hook, sometimes it works to our advantage, because we talk about it. It's a small part of it's not a part of everybody's story. It's not a part of all people, but that's enough to hook the people that then they'll actually take the time to listen to more of what we got to say. If that makes any sense.
No, I mean, absolutely. No, I understand that, and I get that point definitely. I think that is a solid point. You know, Maybe those doors aren't there for a lot of people. If some of our, I don't want to say ancestors, but the generation before us, what didn't do what they did, and I agree to that point right there. On a topic you were just talking about, like it is true for a small percentage, or seems like a big percentage, but we're so dense on each other within Southern California. The gang culture is something that is relevant. That's something that's, I feel, you can't tell the story of Southern California without it, especially within our communities, and it's tough, right? It's hard, we can I mean, like you said in your vlogs, how you were able to separate from it and able not to get like lost in the mix. You know what I mean?
I
And
still got caught up in the mix though. Don't get it messed up. Like I still went to the youth authority. I still been to prison.
mhm,
I'm not proud of those things, but that's all a part of my testimony and my story.
yeah,
Um, Fortunate for me, I had the opportunity to learn from those situations because had some of those things actually ended up coming into full effect, I wouldn't even be here talking to you right now. So, and I understand there's a lot of our friends, our brothers, they'll never, sisters, they'll never get that opportunity. So hopefully, I think the objective is to motivate people to not even take foot in that path, to let them know like don't even go that way, because it's a dangerous road. Like you're gonna waste a lot of time, and when but it's hard to tell. Sometimes the youth, they don't want to listen. Don't even waste your time going left. Go right, because that's where all your opportunities lie. That's the better future for you. You know. Yeah, it's difficult. I guess even myself, I had to kind of get knocked over the head a couple times, but yeah, that's really the thing, is just to inspire more people to do the right thing, to figure it out. Sometimes, I learned Portuguese by myself. I'm self-taught. Whatever we put our minds to, we can do. Um, you know, but do you have the discipline? Do you have the focus to do it? There's guys, they can become lawyers, they can become doctors, but are you gonna do what you need to do to focus on these things? So I think that's the main thing, is focus, and then knowing what you want.
no, absolutely. I mean, it is focus. It's hard work. It's not going to be easy, especially. I mean, just like you hit it right on the knob right there. Is It's hard to tell kids, especially that are growing up in the struggle, especially that, they don't really have many options to do things that maybe other kids in different communities have, right? Where it's a way to get quick money. It's a way to be, one thing I really think about. We don't really talk about it as much. And if you really dissect the history of it and like the true foundations of it, it's a brotherhood. It grew up, it
Mm,
started as, people to coming together to represent their community, to protect each other, to protect the community, right? Like those were
yeah.
the when it was created, those were the mindsets. And of course, like everything through time, you have certain individuals that have a different mindset, and changes occur. But it's hard to tell people, hey, you don't need that brotherhood right there. You don't need that. You don't need these people that you grew up with from kindergarten to high school. You don't need these people. You know what I mean? Because it's hard. You're telling a kid like, no, that's wrong, but they're seeing all the positive, and then they're seeing that it could change their life. And and it's I'm like you said, people. I've known people that, yeah, they join and it's hard to get out. It's hard to not even, I don't even want to say join, but you can make one wrong decision, go on a car that's, wrong time at the, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you could not be a gang member and beat a gang member up, and then his homies come looking for you or whatever too. So there's that conflict. You're just around it, so you're gonna run into those type of situations. But just trying to figure out how to maneuver around that, and yeah, I don't know. I just wanted something different for myself, and then I just started looking. But one of the things is that you have to find something that you're interested in. There's a
Mhm.
lot of people that are really intelligent. They have a lot of talent. They have a lot of skill. But you got to find whatever it is that you love, that you're interested in, and exploit that in yourself to become something better. And maybe you're a good talker and you sell cars, or you sell insurance or something, or maybe I don't know, you just have this crazy passion for making ice cream, and now you're just a successful ice cream guy or whatever, or you really like helping people and charity is your thing, and then you figure out a way how to get paid for doing charity for people. So there's all kinds of different ways. I think that is like the thing in life too is to figure out what it is that you're supposed to do, and what it is that people gravitate to you about, like everybody has something, I think.
No, I mean, it's true, and I don't know about you, and if your situation is the same, but like once you find it, you kind of know, that this is like what I am here to do, and it may not be one thing, it might be a few different things. You got your your music, you got your acting, you got your storytelling. Like that's you can put it together. I mean, you can say you're a storyteller, but I mean, there's gonna
Yeah,
be
yeah, excuse me. Even like with music, like I've changed I talk a lot of bad stuff in my music, and I don't really feel like that anymore. There's certain things that I would say I don't feel like that anymore, because now that I'm a man, I just think different, and so I don't agree with myself in the past, because I've evolved, I've changed, But what I did in music and getting on stage and holding a microphone is what helped me get into acting, and what I did in acting, and when people see me talk and they like it, for example, again, like in the blog, yeah, but I've done stand-up comedy, I've done improv, I've done cold reading, I've done plays that nobody's ever seen. So all that stuff is kind of coming together 10-20 years later, and actually it's making sense. So I don't I just see it as it's all a part of the journey. Like
Mhm.
what was I reading one time about Harry Houdini, that he was like interning for this guy, and he was like learning, he was working for a locksmith. Well, later on in life, he became an escape artist, and everything that he learned from being a locksmith ended up coming into play later on in life as an escape artist. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
Harry
yeah,
Houdini,
no, definitely,
a
yeah, yeah.
magician. Yeah.
No,
So sometimes we don't understand, like, like the Karate Kid, like, why am I wiping this off and wiping this on? This is dumb. What am I doing this for?
Mhm.
And then Mr. Miyagi's like, check this out. Like, look, this is why you're doing that. And he's like, oh, wow. So sometimes things don't make sense in our journey. I watched another interview one time too about Minister Farrakhan, and he was talking about how he wanted to be a singer, but but he wasn't successful. I can relate, because my music was not highly successful. But again, it was a part of his journey, and then he became a public speaker. So the things that he learned in music transitioned into creating him to talk to people or whatever. So that was just a part of the evolution of who he was becoming as a man.
No, I mean, and that is, those are situations, that those like you are true. You have to evolve. You're going to grow. You're going to become somebody that you weren't 5, 10, 15 years ago. And another thing I want to talk about is like you can have a negative situation, you can have something that happens to you or you do, and it's life. People are going to make a bad decision. People are going to get caught up in a bad decision, but it's how you can take that and grow into something. You can take that negative and turn it into a positive. And one of the things I was talking to you about before the show was, my pops. My pops was busted for a while. When he came out,
Yeah,
he had a little bit of a struggle with staying sober. So
yeah,
I'll say about 10 to 12 years he was going through it, and then he was able to pull himself out to understand that he needed to do better. But he didn't forget all those situations. He used that, and he took it into a career that he helped individuals that were struggling with making bad decisions, whether it was in a gang decision or whether it was individual just with drugs and alcohol. He was able to work with at a rehab, work at group homes that help
good,
people, and one of the things I really enjoyed and just like didn't really fully understand the scope of it, the amount of people he was helping was one of two things. When my pops passed, there was a mural put up, and I'm not from Boyle Heights, so I'm not too familiar with the streets and everything like that. But he had a mural put up, and I'll go ahead and put it in this episode right here. And that was put up by his community. That was put up by people that respected him, people that loved him. And to see that was, man, that was awesome to see. Like he would always, every
Yeah.
time we drive through, whether it was Whittier Boulevard, whether it was whatever, and you could see the murals, and he loved that. Like my pops was somebody that, yeah, he was part of a certain, he liked to use the word community. Um, he was part of that, and that was his story, and that was him, but he loved his community. He loved the people. He would give, dollars, extra change to, vendors, and not even ask for stuff in return. He would bless people, and he lived with that mindset that he was going to help somebody, whether, it was somebody that was making similar decision making, decisions as him, or people that had nothing to do with that. He viewed everybody like somebody you can help somebody out, and somebody could help
Yeah.
use that help. And then at his funeral, we got a signed letter, it's a plaque, and it's signed by the mayor of Los Angeles. And
That's
so
cool.
and they came in all decked out and everything. They presented it to our family like, hey, this is, dedicated to, Eduardo Estrada. And so, that, and to see like that's him. And he goes by Smokey Popoca, like a lot of people,
Yeah.
those are what the community called him. But when the city of Los Angeles came out and they, plaqued out, like that was a real cool thing to see. And there's a lot of people that are looking at this. Maybe you feel like you're in a tough situation, or you feel like, what, I'm never gonna change, or the my lifestyle it's set in stone. I can never do good, or I can never get out of this. Nah, that's not true. You can do good. You can help a lot of people. You can tell a positive story. And I that's one thing I with Peter, he's been doing. He's been going through all these different neighborhoods, and I love watching his stuff because he's pulling people off the streets and people that are from that community. And he's talking to
Yeah.
them, and a lot of them are showing like they got great stuff going on. And that's one thing that I enjoyed out of your video too, is like just showing like the truth, and showing, I always say, like, you got to speak with your truths. You got to speak from like, that's when people really enjoy what you got going on, is when you're able to speak. And it's, you can't, you're not going to tell like, oh, this person is lying or this person's fake.
Yeah.
When you can
Yeah.
tell like that's true, authentic, like that's a moving, what I mean? That's a moving piece right there.
Yeah. I think people can see through it sometimes. So I don't, like I said, that's my thing too. Is like, I can be an actor professionally. I get paid for that. But when I'm doing stuff like that, it just tell the people who I am and be myself, and either they're gonna like it or not. And you can't really do nothing about it. You can't. You get older, you learn that too. Like, it ain't really that big of a deal. Just be yourself. Stay true to yourself, and the people who really like you will gravitate to you, and the ones who don't, stay away from them. Yeah, I think people that grow up, especially in the community of Boyle Heights, they love it. They have a lot of pride for Boyle Heights. They champion it. Even in the vlog, it says like East LA, and there's a lot of people like, no, it's Boyle Heights. Yeah, it is. It is. I'm saying in general, it's the east side of Los Angeles. But yeah, I think that people that come from that community have a lot of love and a lot of pride, and they just love their communities, like your father. So everybody that comes from there, it's great if we can help do something to uplift the community and make it better. I was gonna say something. With my father, I had issues too. Like, both my parents, they were heroin addicts, the substance abuse for a long time, in and out of prison. And I remember my father one time, I kept having this dream. I talked about it recently, where like he would wake up in the middle of the night and he'd like teach me how to use guns and stuff. And he told me one day, like, oh, you got to let your eyes adjust to the light, let your eyes adjust to the light. And this is all stuff he learned in the war from being in Vietnam. And then I was having this dream years later, recent, like when I was in Brazil. And I tried to find like why I was having this dream. And I thought like, oh, the message is like, obviously in the moment, he's like, let your eyes adjust to the light so you can see anybody moving around in the darkness. It's teaching me these tactical things. But like, now that I'm older and I hear it again in my head, it's like, let your eyes adjust to the light, so that even in the darkest of times, I can find the light. even in the darkest of times, you just gotta let your eyes adjust to the situation. That's how I interpret it now that I'm a man, you know, like even in the darkest of times, let your eyes adjust to the light. It's really dark, but you're gonna see some light, and that light is gonna give you hope. So even in the darkest of times, if you let your eyes adjust to, you'll find something good, you know. So and then you'll get through it. It's a balance, yin and yang, you know, goes up, it goes down. The sun rises, the sun sets. It can't always be perfect, you know, like life has to have balance, you know. So this is the natural order of the universe. So but yeah, I just thought about that right now when you were talking about your pops. But yeah, yeah.
No, I
There's
mean,
always
shout,
there's always something positive in the darkness, you know.
absolutely. Shout out to both our pops. You know, I feel like they, you know, they raised some good, you know, good men, and you know that's even though all their struggles and everything, like, you know, I always felt like my pops, and I'm pretty sure you can say the same thing about your pops, is that they love their children, and they wanted one of their main goals was to see their son or daughter or whatever it is to do better than them. And that's, you know, that's kind of the mindset that we kind of have. You know, it's not, we're not talking about children in this episode, but we're talking about, you know, the next generation. Is we want our next generation to do better than us, you know. Well, it doesn't mean we're going to stop now, doesn't mean we're going to quit now. We're going to keep pushing that limit. We're going to keep
No,
setting, opening doors for, like you
e-
said earlier, the first generation. Maybe they got us the keys to the door, you know. Now it's up to us
yeah.
to open those doors, kick those doors down, and, you know, go up the next floor of that elevator. You know what I mean?
The important thing is that I speak to youth sometimes too, and I think that sometimes I don't know if they listen because I talk to some and they're really young, and I'm just like, oh man, I might be going way over the head. But even if one person watches
Mhm.
our interview today and they're inspired by it, one person, we've done our job. You know what I mean? So if it's more than one person, that's amazing. But even if just one person takes the time to listen and they get motivated and they get inspired and they're like, you know what? I just need to focus. I could do whatever I want. You know, I have the power inside of me. Like I could do this. If that message can get across and it inspires one person, mm, then for me it's even not even like tomorrow, but like in 5 years from now, someone discovers the interview and it changes one person. That's a beautiful thing, you know. So that's the whole. That's why sometimes when people invite me, I try to make time to do it because I don't know what effect you might have a friend that doesn't even know me and he watches it and he likes what I say. You know what I mean? Or something you say, I might repost it and then someone wants to see it and you say something that affects them in a positive way. You know, so. And then Peter made a point on that about raising the frequency, you know, elevating the minds of people,
Mhm.
um, and just putting people in a better space, better healthy space.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that, you know, I know you got to go right now, but I think one thing that we kind of do is we talk to whoever, you know. That's one thing I really think a lot of people need to get in that mindset too, is like, hey, we're on the earth with so many different people of different, you know, colors, different religions, different, you know, thought processes, like different upbringings. Like, you got to get out there. You got to, like Peter said, raise the frequency. You got to, I love how he looks so, I don't know how to say, maybe he's uncomfortable, but he's putting himself in uncomfortable situations. But I feel like he really learns. He really, like he always says, like
Yes,
he wants to
yeah,
learn about, you know, wherever he's at, whatever he's doing. And that's one thing that I'm going to continue to do that. You know, I'm going to continue to talk to,
yeah,
I'm talking to people, you know, from right here, Southern California. You know, last week I had a musician, Marty Ray, from the Marty Ray Project. And he's from Memphis, you know, a
yeah,
Southern, you know, gospel country singer, you know, and different mindset. But that's just, you know, what I feel like I'm on this earth to do, is we're gonna continue to push that boundary, and like Peter said, we're gonna continue to raise that frequency, you know.
raise the frequency. Yes, yes. That thing too. Traveling is very important. Like, it just understanding that not everybody thinks the same. There's different religions out there. There's certain things that are acceptable in certain communities that are not acceptable in other communities. If there's a culture that you don't understand, go and try to understand them, taste their food, talk to them. You'll see how much more we are alike than we are different, you know. And you never know, you might learn something new about yourself, get inspired, have a new idea. Every time I go somewhere new, I come back inspired and I have new ideas. And sometimes, of course, reading books can be boring sometimes. But if you have the opportunity to go, go. If you can't leave the country, go to another state. If you can't go to another state, go to another city. But begin to travel, begin to think outside of just, have pride and know where you came from, but open your heart and your mind up to the rest of the world. There's a lot to learn out there.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. But hey, Ronan, man, it was a great time talking to you. I know you got a lot going on right now, but before we go, I got our little closing segment we always do for every episode. So I got a few questions for you. You don't have to go elaborate on it, but you can just answer to them as much as you want. So,
All right.
being from Boyle Heights or being from the area, right? What's your favorite restaurant? What's the spot you go to that you're like, hey, people watching right now, they're like, where do I go get some grub?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know. It's always for me like between like El Tepeyac and King Taco. Like King Taco, people don't like because it's more commercial. I like it. Tepeyac's good. Sometimes it's too much food. So I like both of those places a lot because my parents used to go to Tepeyac all the time. So it's kind of a special like place for me. I also like Siete Mares too if you want seafood. So it just depends. It depends on what you want. So I like Siete Mares, King Taco. I like El Tepeyac. Those would probably be my three go-tos in the cook. No, and then there's a place that serves birria that I really like. Man, I can't think of the name right now, but it's like on 4th and Lorena. It's really good.
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
I'd have to look it up. I don't. Yeah, but birria anywhere, almost birria. You can get birria almost anywhere. It's really good.
man,
Anywhere in the neighborhood.
I got some cooking right now, man. So I mean, I gotta. Hey, it is what
Yeah.
it is. You already know.
Yeah.
But I just
it's not for everybody, but I love it. I love it. It's not for everybody, but I like it. Yeah.
Hey, it should be for everybody. Actually, no, it shouldn't, because I mean it's more for us,
Yeah.
But I want to give a quick shout out to, I don't know if it's, again, I'm not from the area, but I could give a quick shout out to Alan B's, man. Got the best burritos.
Okay, Alan B's, yeah. All right. Yeah.
Chicharron burrito,
on
man. You can't go wrong with that.
Right there, yeah, next to the Hollenbeck Youth Center.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then Ronan, I got just a few more questions. Are you a fan of oldies?
Yeah, I like oldies. Yeah, I don't listen to them as much as I used to, but definitely.
You got a favorite
when
track?
I was younger, yeah. Oh, This Is a Man's World by James Brown.
Oh, you can't. It's a classic right there. That's a cold classic right there. And then, so our second to last question, Ronan. Who or what is your why?
Or what is my why? That's a difficult question. Let's see. I don't know. I guess I would have to say I do it for myself because at the end of the day, there's nobody else. Like as much as I love my family, I have to take care of myself in order to give to them. So I have to really want to change. Nobody cares if I need to study something and I don't study. Nobody cares if I mess up my job or my opportunities. It's my own responsibility. So myself is my why, so that I can set a good example and inspire through my positive actions. I can tell people what to do all day until I'm blue in the face, but if my actions don't follow what I'm promoting, then it's pointless. So yeah, I just focus on my own on trying to get to a higher point in my life, trying to reach enlightenment, I guess.
No, absolutely, man. Shout out to that. Shout out to that mindset, man. And a lot of people need to continue to improve themselves in this world. And then our last question, Ronan, is who do you want to see on the Center Lock show? But the trick is, whoever you say, you got to help me get them on.
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe you can talk to my friend, the one that does the hood vlog. You know, maybe he'll help. He's somebody you can talk to, or you can probably yeah, he'd be someone good. I think he's not in the country right now, but we can work on that. He's a cool guy.
Definitely, definitely. Well, Ronan, man, I appreciate your time you spent here on the Center Lock Show. I know you got a lot going on, and everybody. Ronan, you got anything to promote right now? Anything you got going on? You want people to check out?
No, people are free to message me on Instagram. It's Ronin Baptiste is my Instagram page. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, and yeah, that's it. I'm just keep looking out. I'm not really. I just keep working. That's it. It's about just keep working.
Now, there you go, right there. We keep working, and I just want to say I appreciate everybody tuning in. We are up to 371 subscribers, on the way to 400, and we got 8 subscribers in 1 week. So I just want to continue to keep moving, keep pushing, and I appreciate everybody for tuning in, liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, whatever it is. I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. And Ronan, man, I appreciate you coming on from the bottom of my heart. Appreciate you wanting to be a part of the Center Lock movement, and yeah, we can continue to keep pushing and continue to raise the frequency and all that. So Ronan, man, appreciate you coming on, and it was an honor talking to you, brother.
Thank you very much for having me.
And everybody, we will be back next week with another episode. We're out.
Bueno Park is in the building. Bueno Park? What's the deal? Nothing but the homies out there. Nothing but the homies. What's up with the homies?
Who poppin'?